Today at T-Mobile, I'm joined by a special co-anchor.
What up, everybody? It's your boy, Big Snoop Deal Double G.
Snoop, where can people go to find great deals?
Head to T-Mobile.com and get 4 iPhone 16s with Apple Intelligence on us, plus 4 lines for $25.
That's quite a deal, Snoop. And when you switch to T-Mobile, you can save versus the other big guys' comparable plans plus streaming.
Respect. We up out of here.
See how you can save on wireless and streaming versus the other big guys at T-Mobile.com/switch. Apple Intelligence requires iOS 18.1 or later.
I can say to my new Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, hey, find a keto-friendly restaurant nearby and text it to Beth and Steve. And it does, without me lifting a finger. So I can get in more squats anywhere I can. 1, 2, 3.
Will that be cash or credit?
Credit. 4.
Galaxy S25 Ultra, the AI companion that does the heavy lifting so you can do you. Get yours at Samsung.com. Compatible with select apps. Requires Google Gemini account. Results may vary based on input. Check responses for accuracy.
Bong, bong, bong. You're listening to Control Tower. My name's Alexander Saxton. With me today are Jacob Duarte Spiel and
Hello.
Anthony Batella. And I know we haven't mentioned this in many episodes, but we're sitting in a sort of radio tower in the woods. There was a guy who was sort of introducing our show at one point. I think he lasted one episode. He has fallen to his death. His body's still down there.
Oh, yeah, that
It's
guy.
gathering flies. It's being picked at by the creatures of the woodland. I feel like we should call somebody, but damn it, we just have too many episodes of Control Tower to record. So
311. 311's not going to take care of that.
we're too far out in the woods. It's a municipal service.
Like, we have a story about 311 not doing something when they're asked to, and it's called He's My Friend.
He's my friend.
311 and
They
911
never-
are fighting over this. 311 is saying that, this is a human being. 911 has to deal with it. It's cut and dry. And 911 is saying your number is smaller than ours.
Yeah.
So this is on you. You're
The
our
mayor's
little
saying it's a
brother.
provincial responsibility. The province is saying it's a federal responsibility. The federal government is, trying. Justin Trudeau's too busy trying to get into the Taylor Swift show to do anything about it. It's a whole problem.
And meanwhile, that fungus that's growing out of his throat is really calling to me.
It's getting
asking
high.
me to kiss him. It's asking
It's
me
up
to
at like
kiss him.
8 feet tall. Yeah.
But a serious deep lore update, though. Like, they never cleaned up that raccoon.
Oh, seriously? Wait, hold on, really?
It simply dissolved into the concrete. Like, it's been a year and a half, I want to say, and they never. Yeah, it is as it is in the story. It just eventually flattened out into a disc of skin and fur that simply dried up / was pummeled by slush and snow and just absorbed into the concrete.
Oh yeah,
It
just
takes care of its own.
aerosolized.
Yeah.
You breathed it in. Your friend is inside you.
Yes.
Oh, that's kind of sweet.
The other day, my spouse and I were walking across the Millwood Bridge to visit her grandmother, and there was like an animal that was dead on the road, and we were like, "That's not a raccoon. What is that?" We spent a couple minutes trying to figure out what it was, and then when we crossed the street, we saw the poster for a missing long-haired cat, and
Oh no.
and that's never going to get cleaned up either.
No.
No, if it's on the road, it will. That's the trick. If it's on the sidewalk, that's not anyone's problem. But if it impacts motorists, oh boy, will they get that.
So did you ever think about, sort of pancake flipping that raccoon onto the road?
Hell no, that was my friend. I'm not gonna pancake with him. Them.
A stupid question. Would you pancake flip me into the road?
If we'd had a conversation about it beforehand.
Yeah. If that's what I wanted.
Oh, then absolutely.
Yeah. But otherwise, no, you would let me lie on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Where I belong.
That's what friends do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ugh, to lie dead on the sidewalk, slowly putrefying in the summer heat.
Yeah, it's been a rough month.
Speaking of which, let's talk about an episode that is about a guy who has a rough month that turns into a sick month and even better rest of his life. It's a story called Champion by Anthony Botello Anthony, why don't you give us a little recap of Champion?
Champion.
Champion.
Champion is, I think, a pretty simple story with a little bit going on under the hood. And the basic beats of the story, though, are that there's this guy who has, in his opinion, not the best life. He has qualms about work and his living situation, and he recalls a hot summer day where he, enacts a sort of senseless little act of violence on some wasps, and then carries about his day, and then wakes up in this strange alien cell where he's dragged out, beaten and terrorized by these strange figures in rubbery suits, and thrown into this arena where he combats a strange creature for a scrap of meat, clearly some sort of gladiatorial combat, and then is dragged to a cell at the end. And the is initially of the mindset that I will have to do this, I have to survive, I have to somehow get out of here. But eventually, as these combats continue, comes to embrace this situation. And as he finds that he's quite suited to this environment, actually, and doing quite well, he embraces this role of champion as he is confronted by the sentient human-sized wasps who must rule this empire or society or what have you, and is offered the chance to go home, but ultimately accepts that this is now his place, his
He
destiny.
likes it.
He likes it.
Champion.
So you were saying there's like a little bit of something under the hood. So what are you when you say that, what are you thinking?
Yeah, well, this is it was a pretty heavy rewrite from the first draft of this as well. And I think that first version of the story and the second version are, if they were to have themes, they would be different. They would be a noticeable jump from each other. Because initially this was a story that was more about, I would say, it was a story about cause and effect and the impact that little acts of violence can have, things that we think are nothing but have long-standing effects. And I think this version of the story that I settled on, it's a story that you could say is about radicalization. It's really like a story about, like, man would rather fight aliens in the arena than go to therapy.
It's in a way, it actually dovetails very nicely with Fire Angel, where I can very much imagine this character, 50 years down the line, sitting in his alien cottage, thinking about all the people that he killed, and just being like, "Oh, I'm an asshole."
Just like still seeing the like terrified look on the praying mantis guy's face.
Yeah.
Oh, the cricket man or grasshopper man.
Yeah.
The grasshopper man.
No.
No, 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 no. Wait,
But-
wait, no, no, don't do it on my planets, John C. Riley. Ah!
I'm in everything.
That is, yeah, he was, we'll get into this, but he was a second draft edition, and Alexander's comment was like, oh no, I love this guy.
Oh,
That's why we have to kill him.
I just immediately felt for this poor everyman.
A look of terrified surprise on his Bugman face.
That's the only piece of information we have, the terrified surprise, and it tells us so much about him because it's just a completely different reaction than the one our protagonist has.
You were trained by, really what's happening here is you were trained by stop motion animation to have an instinctive empathetic response to anyone with Jack Skellington's physiognomy. So you see Grasshopper Man, you're like, no. You see a
What's
Stick Bug
this? What's
Man.
this?
But you can really imagine him like waving his arms and be like, no, 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 it's not. It's okay. We
Oh,
don't
it's
have
not
to.
like
Waving
Ah!
two
Ah!
pairs of arms. Two pairs of arms.
Yeah, just like our protagonist gets thrown into this situation, and his immediate response is to get locked in. And then this poor grasshopper man, his immediate response is to be like, "No, there's been a misunderstanding."
But yeah, that was just the thing though. Structurally, the first version of the story took a lot more time in the beginning, before we get transported, took a little bit more time in that cell.
Hmm.
But I was quite surprised. The overwhelming note from the two of you was like, man, cut all this shit. Let's get to the arena. Let's have
Yeah.
more.
The violence.
And like there was only one fight in the first draft,
Yeah.
and you guys were like, more. It's like,
More.
He needs
oh,
to he needs more time to enjoy the
okay.
killing for us to believe that he likes the killing.
and
Yeah.
and
Well,
we
if
need more time to enjoy the killing because and I hate to concede this as a socialist and a progressive,
And a
but killing is
pacifist.
awesome. Killing fucking
yeah.
rules.
Again, the first version of him, he didn't enjoy the killing in the first one. It was like, I mean, this dovetails into a question that, forgive me for jumping ahead, but
No, we can do questions. Why not?
I just wanted this literally answers a frequent Jay's question. How do you think the champion would have done against another human? Are humans just the deadliest game? Well, in
I
the
think
first,
this is a great question, and I cannot wait for you to get into it.
yeah, in the first version of the story, it's he's sort of sucked into the future, and that pink creature in the first fight he has was just another human, like a human who had clearly, was feral and starving, and he shuttle kicks this poor guy in the ribs and kills him. And he's like, "Oh God, that's a man." And the Wasp Empress is like, "Haha, yes, we have you humans around here just as little oddities and entertainments." And his horrible conclusion at the end is like, "Well, I guess I need to compete in the gladiatorial arenas and try and repropagate an intelligent human race. I guess this is my lot in life now."
And his new lot in life is killing.
Yes, but he against a starving, diminutive human, I guess he did quite well.
He cleaned
But
house.
sort of, I think one of the little funny little things I've ended up having to do in this story is that I guess relatively in this cosmos, in this section of the universe, humans are pretty just a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger than a lot of these other things he faces, or just more willing to enact violence.
Yeah.
So humans are pretty like A to S tier in this tournament bracket.
Yeah.
Which I think is great.
They're they're a I don't know, a sheik in melee terms.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Or a chic in ultimate terms too, depending on who's piloting her.
Yeah, the the
Uh,
the bug man, the cricket man, he's never even thrown a punch in his life.
yeah,
He was like a second grade teacher.
he's a Ganondorf. He's got nothing.
I
He's
I just love the science fiction trope of like, yes, humans, the squishy pink bags that we are just by virtue of being so fucking miserable, are just the nightmare monsters of the broader galaxy. I just love it every time that trope shows up. I think it's so good.
yeah, I agree.
Just
I think
sheer
there's
son of a bitchery.
I mean, the funny thing is this dovetailed with an idea that I had for a podcast that I think I told you both
Oh my
about, which
God,
was
man versus.
Man Versus was the idea for a podcast, which was about a guy. It was a comedy podcast, and it was about a guy who decides that he's going to beat up every animal to get revenge on because his father was killed in a zoo stampede where all the animals at the zoo all stampeded over his body and killed him. So now this guy is seeking vengeance by beating up every animal one on one in gladiatorial combat. And each episode would be the post mortem of the latest bout, where he's talking about how it went against like a horse. But that was a very different that's a very different theme. This one's theme is Champion's theme is very thoughtful and all about like the things that people are willing to do and want to do deep down in their darkest desires. And
Yeah, it's like this man he has problems in his life clearly, and
Mhm.
there's areas that are you know not doing it for him, and perhaps they're just the effects of capitalism pressing down on him, and but perhaps there's also things that he could confront and communicate with people about, but instead he creates this narrative in his own mind where it's like, no, well, no,
I'm a
I'm a violent
champion.
creature and I'm a champion. This is my place. I'd be much better off just staying here and fighting in the arena.
I think this feels very prescient in a world in which people are so willing to give up their like freedom in order for the security and safety of someone telling them that yes, you are good,
Yes.
and also here's a job.
Yes, but and also like fighting aliens and bugmen in the arena could easily be switched out for going online and arguing with people about trans people.
Yeah, or writing an editorial for the
Yes.
Atlantic that says something that is obviously false.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Jacob, like to your point about like, and here's a job. I think, I think the horrible thing that this story points to is that, oh yeah, people don't even need the job. They just
No.
need the promise that like violence will be done to people that they think are less than them.
Yeah,
Just
there's
like
a
the violence itself is reward in and of itself for the Trumpist political movement.
that
I
there's a
think that's something
social
the story
Um,
points to.
yeah, it's a feeling of control. I mean, we have a story called The Feeling of Control. This is,
The feeling of
though,
control.
another version of The Feeling of Control.
well,
The deliciousness of
it's
violence.
there's a term that I really like, that the social wage, that
The
people don't just get.
social wage.
Have you ever heard of that?
Yes, I've
No.
heard about the social wage, but tell me more about the social wage.
Okay. Just the idea that people don't just get paid in money; they also get paid in social standing or the feeling of social standing. And part of the reason why
Hmm.
bigots, racists, all that, why they vote against their own interests, or so regularly vote against like poor rural whites specifically vote against like labor reform and unionization efforts and things like that, is because they can get somebody who's going into office who's going to do violence against people that they think violence should be done to, and thus maintain a social order in which they are receiving benefit just by being the right skin tone and usually gender.
Hmm.
And that idea of social wage, I think, plays into Champion as well. This idea of like he's getting paid in literal scraps of meat. He's being kept prisoner, but he gets to feel better than other people, um, as long as he keeps
But
doing this
Jacob,
terrible stuff.
eventually he gets 3 scraps of meat and gruel.
That's a lot of scraps of
And
meat.
gruel. Here's the thing. You take two of those scraps of meat, you invest them in the meat scrap black market, you 10x your income. Next thing you know, you've got a lot of scraps of meat
Yeah.
And
slowly
then
rotting in the corner of your
Yeah,
cell.
I believe the wording in the story he uses is starch and a starch, but canonically it
And
is
a
a gruel.
starch. It's so fucking funny. And a starch.
Now I got 3 scraps of meat and a starch.
that's so funny.
God,
That
it's like ordering at fucking pantry.
It's this is I think it was like Jacob, you mentioned we need 1 or 2 more examples of this guy not having a great life, and I don't know how I said it with how I did it with a straight face, but it was like they said I was below average in school, but watch me kill this fucking shark man and say it to my fucking face.
Anthony, what are your favorite kills from this episode?
were there any
Well,
and
some
were there any that didn't make it?
um well, I think this was pointed out, I think also by Frequent J in the episode post, was that drowning a shark in air has to, and that's purely that's an Alexander, and that is a that's been a not a would you rather, but a do you think you could of yours for quite a while, which is the Alexander Saxon classic. Do you think you could beat the shark version of yourself in a gel-like medium?
The shark version
In a neutral
of
gel-like
yourself.
medium.
I mean, the neutral gel-like medium is, I can't take credit for that. The neutral gel-like medium, that was like an old,
Yeah.
that was an old
Bear versus
university
shark.
one. Bear versus shark in a neutral gel-like medium.
Yes, yes, yes.
I chose bear on that all the time.
It depends on the shark, depends on the bear.
It truly does.
I
But
need to
think,
know them personally.
I think like I think we're dealing like equivalent biomass shark and bear.
Yeah.
Then it's
I
bear.
think bear
Then it's
takes
bear.
it.
Then it's bear.
I think my favorite guy in this episode is the Bugman, without doubt.
I adore him.
This poor this poor father of 7. And my favorite kill is probably like the centipede.
I
Just getting
love the
behind the
centipede.
centipede and like ah.
Just with the tail yanking him, just yanks him to death.
Well, he squeezes him. He steps on the tail and like
Squeezes
just
him.
squeezes
Like a
around the
tube of
midsection.
toothpaste.
Like a tube of toothpaste. Like a Christmas cracker.
You know he's eating the toothpaste too. He needs the calories.
Wait, hold on a second. You open Christmas crackers the same way you use toothpaste?
Well, your toothpaste is your thing. He kills a centipede like he's a Christmas cracker.
Oh, okay, that's fair. That's
You
fair. I've added
cracks,
something different.
cracks him down the middle.
Yeah. Oh, I get it. Okay, okay. Unfurls them. Is there anything that didn't make it? Were there any like concepts that you had floating around?
No.
It was just bangers
No,
all the way
that's-
through. You're batting
that's-
1,000, batting 1,000 on this one.
That's just how I do. I like I'm not gonna make things I'm not gonna use.
I'm not gonna do extra.
I'm not gonna do extra. Are you fucking kidding me?
I no, I get it. I am with you 110%. And Alexander's talking in the last control tower about like, you write the boring draft, you write too much and then you cut it down and I'm like, fuck that. No.
Just get it right. Just get it right the first time, baby.
No. Matthew
Well, hold on
Delahaye.
a second.
What?
Hold on a second. Before we move on to that, I have here in my notes a list of additional possible kills for the champion. I'm not sure whether to read them here or no. I'm going to turn them into a lore book. I'm going to turn them into a lore book.
Okay.
Oh,
okay.
all right. Oh, you tease.
Enjoy your teaser.
Okay. Okay. You can have teaser number 1. Punched a rat man so hard in his chest that he died.
I think also just shuttle kicking there's a grim realness to it of just like shuttle kicking someone who's kind of frail and ill so hard you just break their ribs.
Can I add to this list for the can this be our first ever co-writing credit?
Yeah, sure. I'll create a Google Doc for it.
We should all just put that's the entire lore book.
Oh my god!
This next lore book is just hundreds of these. It's a fucking foam book. Listen. You know. Okay, something that the listener might not know is that Anthony, Alexander, and I, when we worked on the Beaverton, our favorite thing to do was like list articles that were just like just anything where you could just do a long list and everything in the list was a joke was the most fun. Like I remember, Alexander, you had an article that was like all the different Marvel like phase 8 of like Marvel superheroes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And it was all like,
okay, let's pull it up right now. Let's hold on.
Hold on.
While we're on pause, alien with echolocation screamed in its ears until it had a heart attack.